Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. What does it really take to turn struggle into strength? And how can yoga hold us through the hardest parts of being human? In today's episode, Russell and I sit down with Joseph Armstrong, a deeply dedicated teacher whose path through addiction and recovery eventually led him straight into the heart of Ashtanga yoga. Joseph apprenticed at the Miami Life Center with Tim Feldman and Kina McGregor. He studied in Mysore with Sharat Joyce, and now he co-leads the Miami Life Center alongside his partner, Edgar, where they've created an incredible offering called the Queer Yoga Club. It's a space of belonging and empowerment. So today we are talking openly about his story with addiction, identity, building community, and also the business of yoga. What it really means to build something sustainable and aligned with your soul's purpose. So, because this is the Finding Harmony podcast, I want to just take a moment to remind you that you do not have to walk alone in your business journey or along your spiritual path. Right now, I have an incredible offer. You can gain access to a free manifestation activation meditation to rewire your mind and raise your frequency. And we are about to begin something so exciting. It is the 21-day Money Magic and Manifestation Challenge. This is a live guided journey filled with daily practices, videos, and support resources to truly help you align your energy with wealth and abundance. So you can find those links in the show notes, and I think we're ready. Let's dive into Joseph's story. This is a beautiful conversation about resilience, love, and the way that yoga has saved us and saved many lives over and over and over again. Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. I'm excited to meet with Russell here today.
I'm here with my co-host. And your co-host, Russell Case, just proud to announce that this podcast is brought to you by Graceland, which was Elvis's home, Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. And we're going to be featuring the Elvis coffee mug prominently throughout the show today. Nice to see you, Joseph.
Thank you.
Yes, Joseph Armstrong is our beloved guest today, and we're so excited to have you here.
I have teased Joseph ruthlessly for years for being actually Todd Bowman. Every time I see him on Instagram, it's like, "Oh, hey, Todd," I say.
Yeah. But it's funny, Todd Bowman is not like the normal person I'm mistaken for.
No.
Who are you normally mistaken for?
I'm normally mistaken for David Robson.
Oh, yes.
Now
yes.
that, yeah.
I
That's
could see that.
absolutely.
Since
yeah,
day
you
one.
are the love child of David and Todd.
Maybe
That's exactly what you are. Yeah. Are you Canadian?
I'm not Canadian.
You've
No.
got a funny accent, though.
I
What
do.
happened to you?
I'm actually from the South. I'm from North Carolina. And
Wow.
if you heard my sister talk, she has like the traditional Southern drawl.
Yeah.
And sometimes mine comes back when I go home. But I don't know. I seem to have erased my accent.
Maybe you've got like a David Sedaris thing going on. He's from around those parts too, isn't he?
He is. He's from North Carolina.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
I adore David Sedaris. And maybe we have this gay North Carolina thing in common.
I'm glad you said it and not me, but that's what I was thinking. And then his sister Amy is also like much more southern than Dave.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Well, there is a gay accent too, I guess. There's lots of accents out there. That's my predominant one.
Do you remember the David Sedaris book where the first chapter in the book is all about growing up with a lisp?
I do.
How gay that is, and how like there were like this a line of boys at the principal's office who were all in trouble for lisping, and you look down the line and we were all gay.
Yeah. Yep. And the funny thing is, I did also go through a little bit of speech therapy when I was
You didn't.
I did. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
So
Wow.
I just did a lot of ecstasy, and that seemed to really help me. Because I would really stutter, and I couldn't really. I had so much anxiety about getting my thoughts forward that I couldn't express myself. Probably still can't.
You seem like you're doing fine.
Do you struggle to express yourself, Harmony?
So far.
Exactly. But you also traveled quite a bit. You left home and like traveled around, right?
Yeah, so I lived in North Carolina until I was in my 30s, like almost mid-30s, right?
Oh, that's a long time, yeah.
Yeah, a long time. And then I moved to Washington, D.C., and I lived there for 6 or 7 years. Wow. And then I moved to Miami.
Wow.
So how long have you been in Miami for?
I first moved to Miami in 2013.
Okay.
And I've been here ever since, except for a couple years that I went and lived in Guatemala.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. And then I actually missed it, so I came back. You know, I missed the water. I discovered I am definitely a creature of the water. Which I'm not a big astrology person, but I'm a Scorpio, so people tell me it makes sense that a water sign wants to be at the beach.
I'm a Taurus, so there's going to be a kind of a natural tension chemistry between us. I can feel it already. Yeah. What were you? Not all respect to Edgar. What were you doing in North Carolina until your 30s? Like, what were you up to? Did you go to school? Did you run a small business? Were you surfing? What were you up to? What were you doing there?
Well, I was failing out of school, and I was destroying other people's businesses. But no, I wasn't doing either of those things on my own. Actually, no, I went to school for a healthy 9 years and almost graduated with a political science degree.
Wow.
So I was going to school sort of haphazardly, and I always joke that I've had almost every job that you can imagine. I really have, and I got fired or preemptively quit from every single one of them.
Wow.
Up until I became a yoga teacher.
Can I ask?
Which you can't fire yourself from.
Well, that's helpful for Harmony as well. Harmony. Would you say that you identify as like a Dixiecrat, or you got more of a young Republican thing going on?
I don't think I would identify in either of those ways, actually. No, definitely not.
No, you weren't in the party. Okay.
No. I'm about as progressive as they come. So, the North Carolina politics. North Carolina is actually an interesting place when it comes to politics. A few of like the big cities are actually very progressive. Unfortunately, the small town I grew up in was not so much.
Been there.
Yeah. But Greensboro, where I moved to after high school, was not so bad. And there's actually some really beautifully progressive places there, like Asheville. Asheville. An incredible town with a really beautiful community. Is
that where Richard and Mary moved to?
Richard and Mary just moved there.
They're living there.
Yeah.
Asheville's so special. It's such a special place.
How did it become a special place? Like, is it like just like what's that city in Georgia where REM come out of? Athens. Is it like that?
Well, a bit, yeah. There's some higher education there that brings young people. I don't know. I guess it's just like a little sort of like mountainy, granola-y. These like a lot of sort of granola people moved there, and then
Mm-hmm.
that sort of like took root
Yeah.
and has sort of blossomed into what it is now. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of arts there too, and it's also just really beautiful. Like the place itself is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it has a lot of good things going for it.
Yeah. But where you grew up, it sounds like was,
Less so.
yeah, less hospitable to difference.
Yeah, I mean, the older I get, the more I feel lucky that I had a group of friends, like closer friends, who were very, very accepting and loving. But the predominant cultural trend was like your typical Southern Baptist,
Mm-hmm.
conservative
Yeah.
type energy. Um, and even in my family, even the family was like, we're country people. We're verging on redneck.
Mm-hmm.
So, people are just the product of their time and place, and that's what this time and place was like.
Yeah.
I guess I had the privilege of being raised with, ostracized Jews in Southern
And a
Illinois and
single
Louisiana.
mom. Who,
Ostracized Jew,
yeah.
exactly. That's how you get to be, So, we- before I go off on that tangent, how did you end up in DC then? Was it for political science? Was it were you going to go and work for the the,
No,
the
no.
industry?
So, no, I don't know if you know this about my story, but I'm sober, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like 11 years sober. And before this 11 years of sobriety, like I was just a mess, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in recovery, we talk about this tendency of addicts to want to do anything to get sober except actually get sober, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and one of those common trends is to do what we call a geographic, which is when we change cities because clearly it's the city that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're going to move to a new city and things are going to be better there, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the move of DC really was for me. I had some friends who were already there, same friends who I'd been partying with for years, right? So obviously, I thought I was going to move there. I was going to be in this new city, and things were going to be better, right?
Right.
Um, but eh, beyond that, I also just really had a craving for just a different way of living than I had been experiencing there in North Carolina, right? So DC is a very like again super progressive, one of the most progressive cities in the U.S., right? Um,
Well, currently on a fascist lockdown, but yeah.
but presidents come and go, presidents come and
It's
go.
true.
But the people who live in DC are like by and large the most progressive people in the country.
Sure.
So, um, and also please remember that I moved there the last year of the Bush presidency into the first year of the Obama presidency. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a really sort of like beautiful time in the city, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I remember when I was sitting with my mom in 1980, or maybe it was probably 80, actually, it was 84. It was sitting with my mom in 84 and trying to understand why on this big map on the TV, uh, Wisconsin, or was it Minnesota?
I don't know.
Walter Mondale was from Minnesota, I think. Why,
oh,
why,
Mondale, all the states went red to Reagan except for one.
and DC. And
And
so, like, I didn't know what a DC was at that point. My mom was trying to explain to me why it was blue on the map and why it was like just such a little small circle of blue
yeah,
and how it wasn't a state. And I was like, all of this had to be
it's
explained carefully.
I was just going through this. Edgar and I just went there, and I was showing him on the map. There's this interesting thing where like DC is like a perfect square
Yeah.
on three sides, right?
Yeah.
Uh, And it's because it's like it's supposed to be a stateless place by design. So they literally
Hmm.
just like cut out part of the surrounding states.
Yeah,
Um,
Virginia and Maryland. Yeah,
yeah,
just take
yeah,
it out a bit from the
yeah,
north, a bit from the south. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Mondale lost really bad, right?
I was disappointed. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I was so excited, and I was sitting there with mom, single mom, Southern Illinois, and I was
yeah,
so excited. And it was like the creeping desperation and sadness that was overwhelming me in
yeah.
1984. Like, this guy Reagan's not a good guy, mom. I remember saying that to him, to
I
her.
really don't remember
Mm.
much of 1984, but in like just in retrospect, it seems really bad. How
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
So you're partying in DC, having a great time.
yeah. Hmm.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then how on earth did you end up in Miami? Was it like the
Escape,
party scene, the beach scene? What was
escaped
drawing?
No,
again.
Yeah.
again, actually, um, I lived in DC for a number of years, and I ended up in Miami initially because an ex of mine wanted to go to mortuary school here.
Oh,
That was the
fascinating.
whole yeah, that was the whole reason we moved down here.
You've been
Uh,
binge watching Six Foot Under, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna do that.
yeah, it's such a yeah. No, apparently this was like his life's calling. He wanted to do it
Oh,
since for a long time. I don't know. Uh,
wow.
but it was also a little. It was interesting at the time when we were together. I would think about how his job was kind of like posing the dead, and my
Mhm.
job was working on poses with the living, and it was kind of an interesting sort of
Oh,
poetic um, interchange
mirror.
there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, so that's how we ended up in Miami, and I Miami was had never been on my radar as somewhere that I didn't think people actually lived here. It was like I'd heard of it, and I thought people came here for vacations, but it's not somewhere I would have ever thought to move to. Um,
Mm.
but once we got here, I really, really loved it. I fell in love with the beaches, as I mentioned. I love
Mhm.
being outside in the sun and in the water. Um, and also, I found for the first time a recovery community here that really worked for me. I didn't get sober until I moved here. I've been trying for a couple years beforehand, but I kept having these relapses. But here I got involved in a particular 12-step program
Mhm.
that was really, really effective for me.
Mhm.
So, yes, most people come to Miami to party, but it's where I came to get sober.
That's good. It's
Yeah.
good. It's a good flip of the plot, right?
Um,
And it sounds
yeah.
like you were already teaching some yoga before you
Yeah.
got to Miami.
Yeah. A little bit. I actually, um, in another one of my geographics, I ended up living in India for a few months.
Oh.
So after I moved to DC, things started. It started to be clear that that geographic had not worked. So I
Mm.
started planning another one, uh,
Okay.
and I went to India. And I actually went to Southeast India, down by Oroville and Pondicherry.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Was
I
there a
was
center there or something to go
what?
to?
What was that?
Was there a center there to go to for you?
Well, there's an amazing city called Oroville. Have you
Yeah,
heard of it?
Yeah.
absolutely.
And outside of Oroville is a reforestation commune, basically called Sadhana Forest.
Hmm.
Oh, cool.
Um, and Sadhana Forest is a volunteer organization, and they're built on yogic ideals. Actually, I didn't know this at the time, but they are sort of built around the ideas of Sri Aurobindo and his partner in organization, the Mother.
Yeah.
Uh, so they had certain sort of expectations. One of which being that the community would be a sober one, right? So
Mm,
that's what got my attention about the place, and
yeah.
I went there. I was there for a couple months, and I had a great time, but I still kept drinking. I was still like leaving this place and going into Pondicherry and drinking from time to time.
Oh,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I planned yet one more geographic, and I just Googled yoga teacher trainings in
Yeah.
India, and I found one in Mysore. and this was before I was doing Ashtanga.
That's so weird.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot there.
There
Yeah,
is.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I went from Pondicherry up to Mysore, having never heard of Ashtanga yoga, and I did a 200-hour teacher training at the Mystic School.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's a good guy. I
Yeah.
know him. He helped me out one time. A friend of mine had been had her passports pickpocketed,
Oh wow.
and she needed a letter from the police
Mm.
to leave the country.
Okay.
And his one of his, I think his father or his cousin was the police superintendent, and he organized it for me. I forget his name off the top of my head. I don't know if you.
And they actually at that time they were renting out to other people too. So this guy who was the founder wasn't actually leading this teacher training.
Oh, okay.
And it was, but I do know this guy that you're talking about. He's an Osho devotee, if I'm remembering correctly. I can't remember his name either.
And there's a number of guys in Mysore who were real followers of Osho's. It kind of kept popping up.
Yeah.
Like
They had.
Kumar.
I remember while I was there, they opened this Osho bookstore. This guy who is also the founder of Mystic School. In any case, I went there. I did a 200-hour teacher training. I guess this is in 2012, 13 or so.
Mhm.
And that's how I started teaching yoga. I'd started practicing a few years earlier. And, I knew right away when I took my first yoga class that there was something special in it for me, right? And yeah, so I went to Mysore, I did this training, and I came home back to DC, and I started teaching a little bit there.
Nice.
But I wasn't able to really teach in earnest until after I got sober, right?
Right.
So it was kind of just like playing with it before,
Can I ask you maybe this is please tell me if this question's unfair, but it comes up for us when we talk about in specific Ashtanga yoga and recovery. Is Ashtanga yoga healing the wound, or is it displacing the attachment or the need for escape
or a savior
or do you get addicted to the dopamine from the new posture where you were addicted to the other drug that was doing that for you? And if you feel like this line of questioning is unfair,
No. I like the line of training, the line of questioning. I can assure you that no new pose equals the high of methamphetamine. I can assure you of this without any doubt that they're not the same. But
wow.
I do think that some amount of replacement therapy is useful. I do think that it's okay to let one thing replace another. If you're going to be sort of like addicted to something, let it be something that's going to make you a little bit healthier, and that's going to help you not sort of burn down all the relationships in your life. Right?
Yeah.
And for me, the yoga was this opportunity to transfer this energy of seeking, which in a way is also what my drug addiction was. It was an energy of seeking, just like in not useful ways, right? It let me put this energy of seeking into something positive, right? So yeah, I also think that the 12-step method, the method of 12-step recovery, is pretty much identical to the 8 limbs of yoga. I mean, the core components of the two are really the same, which are basically like admit you're powerless, aka surrender, Ishvara Pranidhana, right? This sort of thing. And then do the work, right? do the work, find teachers, find a sponsor, find someone who's done the work, and let them guide you into your own doing of the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the two programs, they really are almost step by step the same. Uh,
Mm.
and for me, I tried to get sober many, many times through 12-step recovery, or rehab or treatments of various kinds that were medical. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it never worked. I kept relapsing. And then I would also at times try to just depend on yoga as my tool of recovery. Um, and again, it would just never work. But what did really work for me was a special moment in time where I found a really powerful recovery community and sponsor in
Mm-hmm.
recovery. And I found a really powerful yoga community and teacher in yoga. And when these things came together at the same moment, they sort of amplified each other because they were so similar at their core. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Do you
yeah.
feel like one was maybe working more with like the mind and the mind patterns coming up, and one was more about embodiment and like translating those new patterns into your body? Or what do you think it was about these two overlapping communities that really made the difference?
Yeah, well, you know what it is for me is that I really in life lacked self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had a lot going for me in terms of like general aptitude in life and like communication skills and these sorts of things. Like I'm a survivor by nature, and that got me a long way. Um, but what was keeping me from thriving in life and not just surviving was that I didn't have any discipline. Um, and I would have all these goals, but I didn't have any follow through or any sort of really a know how about how to do the things that I wanted to in life. And I know that that may sound like, how is that possible? But for some of us, there's just some programming that's a little off in our heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when I say that I needed discipline, what I needed was for um, my sponsor to tell me that if I want to change the way that I'm living, I have to come to a meeting every single day from now on, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and to put a strict expectation on me, hey, you need to show up for the next 90 days. You need to do a 90 and 90 is what we call it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then at the same time, I walked into a Mysore room for the first time. And I had a Mysore teacher look at me and say, at the end of my practice, and say, okay, so you'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then explain to me that I needed to be there all week in order for the practice to really work for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's actually quite simple for me. Like it was a process of like learning discipline uh, and having some expectations put onto me by respected people in my life.
Yeah.
Uh, and then learning to meet those, right? That was really the entry point into it. Um, and then once you get past this entry point, then all this more subtle work of healing starts to happen. But right out the gate, it was just like learning to be disciplined in
Mm.
my decisions to do things.
Yeah.
And then since then, like with years and years of practice, the yoga part and the meditation part, they really take you into sort of the reprocessing of all the things in your life that were making you act out in one way or another. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we learned this to a certain degree in our asana practice for sure, but where I felt it most strongly is like in meditation practice and in this thing that happens wherein I learn to sit with my past, and to allow it to come up and present itself, and to just re-experience it through a different lens, which is the lens that is now my main lens, the lens of yoga and healing, right?
Yeah.
And it lets me to have more sort of compassion for all the players involved in the things that happened before. And it was these things that, in my lack of understanding and my lack of healing from these things, that would send me into various spirals before, right? And now with the tools of yoga, instead, I'm able to just sort of be a little more accepting and allowing, and also just to understand that like everyone has their series of cause and effect that brought them to where they were, right? And it helps me to sort of loosen my grip on it all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I've so many. There's so many points there in which I feel a kind of a sense of empathy and connection, and it reminds me of when I was going to Al-Anon and entering that community and looking around and feeling the vibe and the group and feeling like a deep sense of like, wow, these are really my people. These are my people. And then also recognizing immediately, it was like, this is the same feeling I get when I'm in Gokulam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's why I feel like these are my people. Because we're all kind of sharing this kind of particular pattern, and we're seeking, Patanjali's, first sutra, Atta Yoga Nushasanam. Here, finally, yoga is revealed where nothing else worked.
Yeah.
And like it's working.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about that is the kind of the issue in that community is the kind of around boundaries for me. It's not a big problem, but I know that certain people in our community like to party, and I get really triggered by it, and I want to say anything that pops into my head because I'm here for a laugh, and it's like so, but that extends to all kinds of different activities, and so Harmony and I think also we recognize each other deeply at that level, and I think we can also get into trouble. So I just
Trouble
wonder,
can be fun.
do you recognize at any point that our community can be triggering?
You mean the Ashtanga community in particular, or yoga in general?
The Ashtanga punk community in particular. Yeah.
I've gotten pretty good at keeping my nose out of trouble. Right?
Yeah.
So, and remember that what's trouble for me might not be trouble for you.
Yeah.
But I have a really good sense of what is trouble for me. So I haven't even seen what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about, to be honest. Because with people in the community, I've never been exposed to anything that I would consider triggering or anything like that.
Yeah, it's funny. I think like when we were in Mysore, or at least when I was in Mysore, we were married, or I was married. We were married to different people.
We were married to different people.
But at that time, there was like also all these, I would hear all these stories from single people about like these crazy, I don't know, like sex parties and things that were going on. And I was like, where is this happening?
And we were
because
very
it was
curious and resentful. It
was just like so far out of my reality and my experience that it seemed completely like these stories were made up, even because I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, what?
Yeah, no,
or like finding people in trees that were high on acid. Like that was the thing.
So I believe it happens, but I did all of that in excess already. So I have a tendency when there's some exposure to anything questionable, I pick up on the signs and I sort of separate. I just heard your dog. I wonder if you hear mine in the background.
Not too much. What just happened, Harmony? You had to run.
No, Jediah just was at the door.
He was locked out?
Yeah, I guess.
How did he lock himself out of the door?
Oh,
this is my dog.
Oh, cutie.
And the other one, this is her dog.
We look the
Oh, they're both so cute.
same.
My dog is locked in the bedroom because she's
Oh.
barking.
Yeah.
I
She
have
got disciplined.
a beautiful three-legged Mysore dog. Speaking of Mysore,
Oh, those
Beautiful.
really sell fast at the pound.
yes, they
So
do.
much so that you think that maybe taking a leg off a dog would be the best
Oh,
way to
would
move,
be
or
a
trying to
selling
move surplus dogs.
point.
Mm.
No.
Uh,
So,
That's an example of me pushing it a little bit too far. Mm.
all right, we're here for the joke.
yeah.
And this episode also brought by someone who was pushed a little too far,
Mm.
Elvis Presley.
He could have used some yoga. He had kung fu, I guess.
Kung Fu.
Uh,
He needed help.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you spent a lot of time mentoring with Tim and Kino in
yeah.
Miami.
Was
I
that
did.
your first Mysore teacher? Was that the one who said you got to be here every day?
So yeah, before I moved to Miami, I'd never done Mysore style, and I moved here, and we were broke, and yoga was very expensive. So basically, I ended up in Miami Life Center because I probably Googled cheap yoga Miami, and a special came up.
Tim comes right up, does he?
They were running a special that was 30 days for $30, right? I was
Right.
like, okay, I can afford that.
Yeah.
And when I went the first day, it was actually Alexandra Santos who was teaching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
she's sweet.
she's great.
Alexandra?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. I knew her in New York. Yeah.
she's great. And then my regular teacher that month was Patrick Nolan.
Oh yeah, Patrick was there then too.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is that the right Alexandra? I'm
I
thinking of
think
someone
you're
else.
thinking of
I'm
someone
sorry.
else.
And I actually didn't meet Tim and Kino for some time. It was
Oh, okay.
sometime later before I met them.
Yeah.
So my first regular teacher of Ashtanga on a daily basis was Patrick Nolan.
Nice.
And then after a couple years, we have this apprenticeship program, right?
Yeah.
And after a couple years, some of the other teachers and staff members recommended it for me. And that's when I started to really know Tim and Kino.
Mm.
And yeah, I went through a really incredible, impactful, dare I say, the cliche, life-changing apprenticeship with them that really just taught me so much about presence in the Mysore room.
Mm.
I think that's really the advantage that our generation had, is that ability to apprentice, that I think the generation before us had to kind of go home to Encinitas or the East Village or Chicago or wherever and kind of make it up and figure out how to meet their community in whatever authentic way they could. But we could go to Tim or Eddie and or Hamish and figure out how to teach from them and then go. And I
Yeah,
think that's a really helpful step.
absolutely. Now I have some students who come and they learn with me in the Mysore room. And whenever I'm talking to them about what I have to offer, really the only thing I have to offer is giving them the space to touch bodies for a couple years under like
Absolutely.
my observation,
Yep.
and that's a really important part of learning how to manage both the physical, energetic, emotional demands of what we do, is just having a little bit of structure in our foundation. So yeah, we're lucky.
I agree completely. I think the 2 years that I had with Guy Donahue in New York before I went and taught my first Mysore room, and I was there every day for several hours teaching, touching bodies, and figuring it out, and trying to move energy. The would you say that your experience is similar to mine in that the actual first time that you had the room and it was your room, like that's when it actually became hard, when you realized that you were up against ego and that was the real job?
Yeah. I think that took me a little bit of time to understand, actually. I have this thing that the predominant experience that I have when I'm in the Mysore room is of um, just being so absorbed in it that it's always over like that. I walk in and I start a class, and then suddenly it's over, right?
Yeah.
So
Too soon.
yeah, yeah, and I tend to get so present with whatever is happening, that uh, it doesn't really feel. I don't know where I'm going with this, but suffice to say, I didn't pick up on this ego thing right away. It was actually sometime later when I started having like longer term relationships with students.
Hmm.
I really started to pick up on this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it took some time for me to get that.
I think maybe it was because my first gig was in England, and I left New York for England, and they were so difficult. Like they were so judgmental and opinionated, and I will say this about any British person to their face.
Yeah.
They were so judgmental and opinionated, and I was a colonist. I was nobody. I was nobody. I'm a colonist.
You're an American, and the English are
Not even
famous for not
Australian, but an
liking
American.
Americans.
Like what can I possibly know about fuck all? That I just started kicking people out of my class left and right. I just couldn't fucking take it. I was like,
You were also a lot younger, I think,
oh yeah,
than Joseph was at the time, and I think
I was 27.
yeah,
25.
I think as you mature, you've had more life experience, and you deal with people maybe also a little differently.
Yeah. But I did have, now that I think about it, you talk about difficult people. I definitely had difficult students right out the gate. Yeah, that's for sure. I just didn't, yeah. There were people who would tell you straight up, like, don't touch me, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for
or
sure.
don't touch me that way.
Don't, yeah. And, this for me, I was sort of prepared by my teachers also to understand that students get really attached to like their normal structures and their normal teachers, right?
Mhm.
And when someone new, either as an assistant or substitute or a potential like replacement for them, comes into the space, that there's a natural and sometimes not short-lived period of resistance. Um,
Mhm.
and sometimes that resistance gives after a little bit, and sometimes it never gives. And those students take off and do something else, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I do feel like I was also prepared to expect this. So maybe that's a credit to some of my teachers at MLC as well.
Yeah. How was the transition? Because now you've taken over the Miami Life Center. And so how is that for you? Was it easy, smooth, or was there a lot of bumps along the way?
Well, it's a little bit of a funny story, honestly, because Miami Life Center has been around a really long time, and it was run at times by Kino alone, and then later by Tim alone, right? And eventually, Tim came to a point where he decided that he no longer wanted to run the business on the daily, and he wanted to focus more on like his traveling and teaching. And he asked me if I wanted to sort of take over, and I told him no. Yeah,
Good
I
for you.
definitely, like, I gave him a
Mm.
solid no. I am not
Mm.
interested in doing this. This does not sound like fun to me. And some time went by, probably months went by, and he asked me again, and I was still a no. And then something different happened. We were moving into a new space, right? We moved from South Beach to Wynwood. And during that time, Tim and Edgar started working together closely in building out the new space. And Edgar had a store in the new space. And eventually, Tim asked Edgar if he would like to take over Miami Life Center.
Yeah.
And Edgar said, yes, we would love that.
We would love that. That's
Uh,
amazing.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm so glad that it worked out that way in the end, because I do feel what I was afraid of initially, which is like the there's a lot of stress that comes along with running a business like ours. Like
Yeah.
it can be very demanding, and I really didn't want it to come between me and my practice or me and my relationship with anyone in the community.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard to be in business with your partner too.
Yeah.
And then also like a mentor.
Yeah. All around, like it can add some stress. So there, some of that stuff that I was afraid of is there, but it's definitely not as bad as I had imagined, right?
Yeah.
And I've also like really come to understand that everything is so fleeting, right? I'm not going to do this forever. None of us are going to be doing anything for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And it's really good that I've gotten this experience, and you know, I feel so proud of what we've done in our space, because before Edgar and I took over, we were really just an Ashtanga community. We had Mysore style, we had a few lead classes, maybe one gentle therapeutics class, and that was it, right? Um, but Edgar and I have expanded our program to include all forms of yoga. We've had guest teachers from all over the world in yin, in rocket, in all kinds of modalities of sound healing and whatnot. And we just launched our first vinyasa yoga teacher training, right?
Nice.
So
Yeah.
so we've just really I'm proud of what we've done with this community.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've managed to put our own little stamp on it while remaining true to what Tim and Kino initially created. But yeah, it's hard. It's very challenging.
Yeah. Running a yoga school, a yoga studio is very, very challenging. There's so much pressure because it's different than a gym where you just have the equipment and people pay a membership and maybe they come and maybe they don't come, and it's kind of the gyms make their money on people that don't come. But with the
Yeah.
yoga, it's different, right? Because you have to pay a teacher, you actually want people in the classes.
Yeah, exactly.
And people don't, you can't run your yoga studio off of $35 a month or something like that, right? You have to actually, people need to invest in themselves, especially with Ashtanga style, because if you just come once a week, it doesn't really work that well.
Yeah. So, and it also in this day and age with the yoga, this gym mindset in terms of the consumer has really gotten into their expectations about how they take their yoga as well, with things like ClassPass and these other sort of aggregators of services.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really disheartening, actually, because MindBody, you're familiar with this software. They really became a monopolizing force, right, in the yoga studio industry. And it took me a long time to realize that they really didn't have the yoga studio's best interest at heart,
Mm-hmm.
especially once they merged with ClassPass. And it became really clear to me that their intention was actually to intercept our students and
Right.
make them MindBody ClassPass students, right?
Wow.
So yeah, so this in some ways this thing that we've done with like Airbnb and car sharing and whatnot is really good in some ways, but in other ways it sort of devalues some of the people doing the work, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
definitely.
tough time out there.
Yeah.
Can I also ask about the your experience as a studio owner and running a selection of classes and modalities? Because for the Ashtangi, the orthodox classical Ashtangi who has a particular kind of, say, uh, uh, adoration for violence, that person maybe is at odds with the present push in, I think, commercial yoga spaces for the consumer having more power than the teacher. Am I making any sense here?
I think you're asking about like adjustments and orthodoxy as like there's one way to do it.
Well, yeah. There's a big movement post Me Too for
Yeah.
more autonomy for the student in the class, And are you having to adjust at all as the overarching director?
Yes, a little bit. A little bit of adjustment is there for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So before like this Me Too, I'm sorry about the dog in the background. I hope
Can
she's
barely hear it at all. Wouldn't
okay.
even notice it.
Um, before this Me Too movement, like we didn't have consent cards in the studio, right?
Right.
And now we do. I've People never use them though in our studio. Like I never see anyone using these consent cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we definitely encourage our teachers when they feel confident and have the right skill set to do adjustments in their classes, right?
Yeah.
And I think that people will self-select into where they belong in terms
Mm-hmm.
of the students. For instance, we also have a Shala dog, right? People are allergic to dogs. If they come in and they tell me they're allergic to dogs, my response is maybe this isn't the right studio for you, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing with our philosophy in general.
Mhm.
If how we approach teaching yoga isn't for you, chances are there's someone out there that is going to be more in line with your desire to have no adjustments or to have whatever kind of autonomy it is that you want in your class, right? There's a teacher for everyone out there. There's a community for everyone out there.
That's super fascinating. Is it because I found my own success was so geography dependent. Did okay in England, was a rock star in Taiwan, had zero students in San Francisco. It's just like where I was often depended on how the community, what the community wanted from a teacher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe we also have the benefit of being in Miami, which is a very sort of like, um, I don't know. I mean, I think we're open to this sort of experience here of like having the hands-on adjustments,
Mhm.
and having, yeah, yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we're open to it here. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I think, um, yeah, there's a certain aspect of the adjustments, or, I mean, what you're describing is to me sounds like a community of openness, like,
Hmm.
and a culture of openness, and that's also like who you are and who Edgar is as well. And I'm curious with the studio, you've created your own, even like the queer yoga club within it, and we were looking on Instagram, and it's huge.
Yeah. Well, the Queer Yoga Club, I talk sometimes about what it is to be in alignment, and that Queer Yoga Club being like the most concrete example of falling into your lane that I've experienced.
Amazing.
Because we created this event because it was just natural. It was natural to us as queer people to create something that will make other queer people feel seen, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and safe.
and safe. Yeah.
Mm.
And this is a big problem. The reason why our studios aren't as inclusive, I say our studios, meaning all of them,
Yeah.
is because we don't put out the signs that people should feel welcome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those signs are maybe actual like physical signs like
A rainbow flag.
rainbow flag, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but also maybe they're the signs of like the actual queer people being there or the
Yeah.
actual African American people being there, these
Mm-hmm.
sorts of things. So we really wanted to make a show in our community of like the queer people who were there. Um, and, the growth in the program was incredible. Like within just a couple classes, we had 100 students,
Wow.
sometimes showing up for these events. And you know, I've I was involved very heavily in the creation of the program. But more recently, I've been a little less involved in it. And Edgar and a couple of our other lead teachers, Tay and Jamal, have really taken on sort of growing it and trying to make it even bigger. And now they're trying to take it out to other studios, right?
Amazing.
They're trying to get like queer yoga clubs around the country.
Rightly so.
And to really let that be something that is a legacy and a long-term impactful creation. So yeah, I'm so happy you mentioned that. It really is something we're so proud of.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it sounds like it's a really beautiful resource for people too. I've heard you talk about it before on Yoga Gives Back when we were on a panel together, and it sounds like it's not just yoga. And I think that really offers something to people that people are really seeking these days, whether they're queer or not. It's sort of like if you're just coming in and doing the fitness aspect or the asana aspect, you kind of are missing the community aspect in some ways. And so yeah, can you talk a little bit about how you've sort of like created this atmosphere that really helps people feel seen or heard, or how it's like integrating all these limbs of yoga, not just the asana?
Yeah, well, the really special part I think about this program is that it starts with this moment of embodied practice, right? So we do the asanas, and that's great, and then we take a little break. We have a moment of community. We have some nice food, and then we come back together and we do a community sharing circle, right? And basically, we take a bowl and we put it in the center of the room, and we let everyone write down a topic or a question and just put it in there, and then we pull them out at random, right? So in this way, we get sort of an unfiltered, unmoderated conversation about what is really going on with people. And, one of the most impactful examples of this that I can remember was that we had a guest who wasn't even queer. She's a teacher in the state of Florida. And it was at a time when the state of Florida was actively having any kind of book that mentioned queer people removed from the schools, the libraries, this sort of thing. And she had seen our program and came kind of as an act of solidarity with her queer students, right? As a way to sort of try to reach out and get connected and to have like a deeper understanding of the queer experience, right? So we help people not only who are identifying as queer, to have that safe space. It's also somewhere people who are allies and who are interested in being more supportive are turning. And that circle can be so emotional. People are able to process all sorts of challenging things that are happening in their lives, and to do it in a safe space with the support of people who are going to listen and care and understand.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
One of the most challenging things for me growing up with my family was the kind of the binary thinking that I'd encounter. Like it's either right or wrong, and it's like that kind of attitude that you like. You look at something like the Cold War, and it's either right or wrong. You're either on Russia's side or the United States' side. But if you do like a real history or her story, if you do a real her story of the entire war, then you're looking at tens of millions of different experiences of that Cold War that are all unique. And so like that's to me like what you're talking about is like how having this bowl in the center of the room, you're giving people an opportunity to offer their unique perspective on her story of their experience. And that's something that I really wish I could just, emphasize to every person I'm struggling to communicate with about diversity is that we're unique, and we don't have a binary relationship to our gender or sexuality or our ethnicity.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and this can be really hard for people to understand when they come with pre-programmed cultural history, right? Uh,
Mhm.
and I've seen this firsthand in my own family. I hear people talking about it in this circle all the time, um, but all we can do is just keep trying. Keep talking about it, keep having conversations like this. Again, it's why I'm so glad you brought this up, because um, people just don't know what they don't know. And this is one of my favorite things about yoga, is that I love how yoga talks about ignorance without like the edge to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, ignorance in yoga is just like a state that is common. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
we're just commonly ignorant. And a lot of us are commonly ignorant about a lot of things. And with the issue with diversity and different types of people in the world, it's just ignorance. We just haven't been exposed to it in the way that we need to be in
Mhm.
order to cultivate the compassion, right?
Mhm.
We maybe compassion is naturally inborn in us, but unfortunately society and like these historical trends try to move us away from that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sort of like fighting to do to get to this place where we can actually open up to these this need to be inclusive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what you're saying too, and this is kind of beautiful where yoga really like comes in, is that the essence of yoga is really about coming back to the true nature of who we are, right? And when we're connected to that true nature, we're connected to those qualities of compassion, of love, of acceptance, because that's who we are in our hearts. And it's like layering all of the stuff that we put on top of ourselves to create this separation, to create the difference, to create the divisiveness between ourself and other, the protection mechanisms, right? And so it's kind of beautiful that you're combining these the experience of yoga and really helping people to heal.
Yeah, and ultimately, at the end of the day, like, yoga is a good band-aid, but really it's like really intense socioeconomic political structures that have to be repaired, and maybe
Mhm.
yoga can like help us get there.
Mm.
But this feeling of separation and this lack of compassion, this lack of like understanding our unity, like, it's structural.
Mhm.
And I think that we as humanity have a long way to go before we're able to overcome. Like, I doubt that we're going to be able to overcome our feeling of being different and separate as long as there are borders on the map.
Mhm.
Like, that's the kind of thing that makes sense to me, because there's
Mhm.
something fundamental in our psyche that just doesn't understand unity in a really profound way. Uh,
Mm.
so yoga is good because it lets us know that it's there, right? It tells us, hey, there is this ultimate truth that you might want to look into. Um, but we really got to get all these really powerful world structures
Yeah.
to follow suit and support our interest in this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I
That's
think it
great
was
insight.
I think it was Richard who actually was the first person I ever heard talk about a circle of love.
Yeah.
And then you have to expand your circle of love. And I was like, it blew my mind when I think I was in Taiwan when he told me that, and it blew my mind when I thought about it. It's like, yeah, I have narrowed my circle of love to these people, and they're the other.
Yeah.
How expansive can I get? And that's where you kind of get to someone like, Ramana Maharshi or Maharishi.
Ramana Maharshi.
Maharshi or someone like that. Like, they've really expanded their
They
circle of
erased
love.
the circle.
They've erased the circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
We're still working on it.
I have enemies myself. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
So tell us what's next for you. We noticed that. Are you going to Goa? Are you on your way to
We,
Purple Valley with
we
Edgar?
are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So We are going to be in Mexico. We're doing a retreat in Mexico next month.
Fun.
It's like a month away. I'm excited about that. And then onward to Purple Valley. We're going to be in Purple Valley the last week of October through November 8th. And when we scheduled this retreat, no season in Mysore had been announced. And since they have, I'm trying to change my schedule around a little bit so that I can go to Mysore for a couple weeks after. So that's what the fall has in store for me. Hopefully, lots of teaching and practice in India. Fingers crossed.
Nice. And you and Edgar were with Sharat in Miami before he passed.
Yeah.
And then were you there in Virginia, or had you gone
No,
to?
we were actually in Goa when
Yeah.
we did Virginia. But yeah, those last days here in Miami were really amazing. They were some beautiful days. My last the last time I saw Sharat, we went on a Ferris wheel ride.
Amazing.
Over the Miami Biscayne Bay. And it was a really beautiful experience and a good last memory to carry with me.
Yeah. Yeah. High up in the sky.
I just want to give a special shout out to Edgar. I think you do a lot of Zoom calls these days, and you really want to celebrate someone who's organized their Zoom rectangle well. And there's a lot of depth, a lot of interesting things going on, like with the banana and the head sculpture, the little ang with the bubble gum on top of your head there. A lot of interesting stuff going on in your Zoom room. I really applaud you for that.
You're seeing a little bit of our life. You're seeing, like, in that closet, in that hallway, these pieces are from oh my gosh, I'm blanking. The head is from Italy. The banana is Guatemala. These are little knickknacks from all over the world.
You should eat those bananas soon then.
It's a common kind of decoration from Guatemala. Yeah, they're very beautiful.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Does Edgar do all the designing in your house?
He picks out most of the stuff. So I think that by nature, I would probably be a minimalist. And this is not a word that Edgar believes in. Edgar is a maximalist.
We're going maximalist these days. Yeah. We're.
So yeah, I try to help.
I just give up. I just say, do your thing.
The problem though is when my little knickknack that I've placed in the golden mean circle of fifths is then adjusted, in the way that I don't approve of. That's where the problems start in our home.
All the problems, all the world division starts right there.
Yeah, exactly. Who moved my cheese? Or my little fake ceramic cheese that I placed just so.
Well, it was so wonderful to connect with you. Thank you for coming on our show and having this conversation with us and sharing your amazing energy and story with everyone.
Thank you. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I hope you get some extra bodies in Goa, Purple Valley, and
thank you. I hope so too.
Yeah,
or
down in Miami.
And hopefully our paths will cross out in the world again at some point. I think the last time I saw you in person was briefly in Mysore.
Yeah.
You were there for Yoga Gives Back.
Yes, in 2019.
You saw Joseph. I met you in Miami.
At a tour.
Tour. Yes. But just... you just happened to be there with Yoga Gives Back, I think.
Yes, in 2024. Yeah,
that's right.
It was kind of recent. Yeah,
it was recent.
Yeah,
but it feels like a million years ago.
Yeah, maybe that'll happen again soon. I hope so.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Real pleasure.
Wasn't that just a beautiful conversation today? But before you go, I want to invite you into something so very close to my heart. It is my 21-day Money Magic and Manifestation Challenge. We are starting November 3rd. This is not just another mindset workshop. Over the course of 3 weeks, you will receive daily inspiration, journal prompts, videos, rituals, and subconscious reprogramming practices to truly help you clear those old money stories, your subconscious mindset around money, unconscious beliefs, rewiring yourself from a neurological perspective, raising your energetic frequency to attract more aligned wealth into your world. Think of this like a deep reset for your relationship with money. You'll uncover and release those hidden blocks that you've been carrying around from your family, from society, and past experiences. You'll expand your nervous system capacity to actually hold more abundance and activate the magnetic field that makes prosperity feel completely natural and not forced. And when you join, you'll also gain access to the Finding Harmony community, where you'll be supported with live new and full moon meditations. It is a beautiful space to connect with other soulful practitioners, and you'll receive bonus resources to keep your spiritual practice grounded and alive. If you want to begin right away, you can get my free manifestation activation instantly. And this is a powerful subconscious reprogramming tool to help you start rewiring your energy for wealth today. So if you're ready to transform your relationship with money, come step into a new frequency of abundance with me. Join me for the 21-day Money Magic and Manifestation Challenge. You will find the link in the show notes, and I cannot wait to go through this journey with you inside. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.